All right, welcome to the Hank Haney podcast here on nofilter.net. You can see the Hank Haney podcast either on No Filter or on my Hank Haney podcast YouTube channel, so you can find it there as well. This broadcast is brought to you by the Haney University, Hank Haney University, haneyuniversity.com. That is my website. And that is where you will find out information about golf lessons from me at my new studio that will soon to be opening in Deerfield, Illinois. So go to haneyuniversity.com to check that out. I actually have that going. I am almost there. I figured I'm going to have this place absolutely perfect before I open up, and we are close. We are extremely close. And when I open up there, I am also going to be starting my online golf lessons as well. So if you want to get better golf, that is where you're going to be able to do it. haneyuniversity.com. Go there and check it out. All right, today's podcast, I want to talk about all the latest developments. We're going to have news supposedly any day, and for sure before the Players' Championship. The PGA Tour Players Championship. This is the news that everybody's waiting for. We've been waiting 2 years for this, or how many ever years, about the Public Investment Fund and the PGA Tour and their quote-unquote merger or partnership or investment that the Public Investment Fund is making. And it is amazing how everybody's tune is changing. I mean, the corrupt golf media, who was just so negative on LIV, and a lot of them still are, but to the point that they wouldn't even talk about it. You didn't hear it on Sirius XM, PGA Tour Radio, no talk of LIV. You didn't hear it on the Golf Channel, no talk of LIV. Now all of a sudden they're talking a little bit, see? And they're even I looked on the Golf Channel, they had the leaderboard up there from LIV, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? I thought this was the evil competitor, but not now. Everybody's coming together. And they're all coming together, and the tunes are changing. Rory, who was so outspoken, the gift that keeps giving, Rory McIlroy, who loves to talk, he will tell you all about everything. He has totally changed his tune now and thinks everybody needs to get over it, and the players need to come together. And it's just like, whoa, what a reversal. Of course, Rory's made plenty of money. As a matter of fact, Rory said at the last tournament, he said, I've made more money in the last couple of years, and he admitted it was because of LIV, and everybody knew that. I've been talking about that ever since it started. I said, this is going to be great for everybody financially. The people that are getting left out are the fans who watch the PGA Tour on TV, because the tournaments have just been so washed up with. I mean, it's just hard to watch. I mean, you can't. There's the players that I mean, I look at the leaderboard now on the PGA Tour, I don't even know anybody. So that part has been a failure for the golf fan, no doubt about that. And as I've said before, what's happened with these two separate tours is that players are making more money, and as a result, they're playing less. And as a result, the broadcasts are watered down. You don't see a lot of players who you even know of, and you see more that you know of on the LIV. Of course, they like to argue back and forth where the better golf's coming from. The new CEO of LIV tells you the greatest golf in the world is at LIV. Well, that's not the case. The PGA Tour tells you that's where all the great players are. Well, that's not the case. They're all spread out all over the place, and of course, there is no Tiger Woods. So that's the big problem. That's the problem that you can't get past, and you got to have a superstar. And it's not going to be Ludwig Oberg, even though Ludwig Oberg won at the Genesis at Torrey Pines, where they played Torrey Pines, twice in a month, which was weird. But they had to do it because of the fires in L.A., and they couldn't play there at Pacific Palisades because it's all it's devastated with the forest fires. And actually, there are more house fires than forest fires, but they couldn't play there. So they had to move it down to San Diego to a golf course that was ready for a tournament because they just played the Farmers Insurance there. And he wins that tournament. It's a great win, great player. He's the next. I love all these slice breads. It was the first. Somebody on Twitter said to me, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I mean, he Ludwig Ober. He's got a great swing. He made a clutch putt on 18 to win the tournament. He looks fantastic. I'm not saying he doesn't. He looks great. But there's always this new sliced bread, and especially they go crazy when the sliced bread is coming from, the greatest thing since sliced bread is coming from Europe. I mean, I remember back in the day, it was like a while ago, it was Victor Dubuisson. He was the new sliced bread. And then it was Thomas Peters. Like, I think Darren Clark announced that he was the new sliced bread. And now it's Ludwig Oberg as the new sliced bread. Now, he's probably the closest one to the sliced bread. He looks awful good. Picture book swing and powerful, and a great clutch putter like he showed on the 18th hole. But the fact of the matter is that unless the dominant player, and it's hard to dominate nowadays in professional golf. The competition is just so good. Although last year Scotty Scheffler did pretty much dominate with the amount of wins that he had. After the hand injury, he's off to a little slower start this year, and getting a little frustrated that I'm sure that he hasn't been, taking the trophy home every week. But in a sense, it's easier to win because the competition is watered down, and in another sense, it's harder to win because there's a lot of players that can play, and there's nobody that's really standing out, and that's why I think just to see a dominant player, I just don't. I don't think there's going to be another Tiger Woods, and when the best players in the world are not Americans, I don't care what the sport is. This is what happened to tennis. As soon as you had all the dominant players, the best players were not from the United States. Tennis took a big hit, and I think golf is much the same. I think you need a top player, and that top player needs to be an American if you're going to have great ratings. I mean, that's just the way it is. And you don't have that. And Oberg's not that guy. He's because for no other reason than the fact that he's not American. But I think what you're going to see is if he wins, and he's got to win. He's got to win something big. Like the best thing that could happen for golf. If he's the new star, then the best thing that could happen for golf is he wins the Masters. Uh, you know, there's no that could help golf because now you got a star, and he's young, and he's well spoken, and seems like a great guy, and a picture book swing, and maybe he could put a heck of a career together in a short period of time. Other than that, there's still hoping Tiger Woods is going to win another major. Now, Donald Trump said he's going to win at least a few more. He played with them, and I saw the Tiger was there for the meeting with Jay Monahan, Adam Scott, and Tiger Woods were meeting with Donald Trump, and I want to get into that. But the comment from Donald Trump, the President Trump, that Tiger, he'd played with Tiger and his son Charlie at the Trump International in Palm Beach, and he played with there, and he announced that he's playing great, and he knows what a good player looks like. So I'm not doubting him, but I don't think it's quite that easy to go out there and win major championships. I would probably have to go on a bet against that at this point in Tiger's career. But obviously, he would be the best thing to happen to golf if that did happen, and he even just getting in contention would be tremendous. But it's got to happen in a major. I mean, it's really boiled down to that those are the only tournaments that matter. They're going to try to make them matter more when they come together and they bring the players back together and they say this is what everybody wants. Well, Rory's talked about it. He hinted about it. Now Tiger and Adam Scott and Jay Monahan have met with Donald Trump, and Trump's helping them put together a deal, make a deal. He's let's make a deal. He's all about making the deal, and he's the art of the deal. He can get it done, and he doesn't think it's difficult to do, and it doesn't sound like it is. And they needed help. I think they needed help on this deal with the Public Investment Fund and the LIV Public Investment Fund and the PGA Tour. They needed to get past all this Department of Justice antitrust issues, and I think Trump's probably helping them do that, and that's pushing the deal along. But now everybody has changed their tune. All of a sudden now, Tiger, who was adamantly against LIV, now he was adamantly against LIV because he had the Tiger Golf League, the simulator golf league coming on board, and he didn't, he saw these guys signing for all these big checks, and he wasn't going to sign for one of those checks. So of course he was against it. He could never sign. Even if he ever wanted to, he couldn't have signed with LIV because he couldn't have performed and done the contract. I mean, he couldn't play in 12, 14 tournaments a year. There's no chance. Even if it was 54 holes, even if they gave him a cart, which he is adamant about not taking, he couldn't have played. So he wasn't never going to sign with LIV, and he made a ton of money off the PGA Tour, and I'm sure he's going to make a bunch of money off this Tomorrow Golf League, the Tiger Golf League, the Simulator Golf League. Although I don't know how good that's doing. That's a hard watch. I mean, I try. I watch a lot of it, but man, it's not the easiest watch in the world. I mean, you watch that thing and you're like, whoa. I mean, this is like, is the paint dry yet? I mean, that's a tough watch. But I'll keep watching because I'm just, I'm for golf, and I like simulator golf. I like the indoor golf. I'm a fan, but I don't know. It's just the audience seems to be dwindling a little bit. I see the ratings, but who knows? Maybe it's like background TV. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, they obviously thought they could sell that, and they got a lot of people that with a lot of money that went into this thing. So you would think that these guys are smart guys. They'd figure something out. But the point is Tiger made his money, Rory made his money, and now all of a sudden they're changing their tune, and they realize that golf is not in a good place, and they've said, well, we couldn't get rid of them. LIV's not going anywhere. We couldn't get rid of them. They got all the money in the world to hang in there. And what do we got to do? We better be partners with them. And this has been Trump's thought all along. The president said, Yasser El-Rahman, the head of Public Investment Fund, loves golf more than anybody in the world, and you're better off being partners with them than you are trying to fight them. And I guess he's finally convinced these guys, although they probably have no choice because their tour is not doing good. And I'm speaking of the PGA Tour. They finally decided that, hey, we better get with them. We better get this. Why wouldn't you take? Listen, they want to invest $1.5 billion, and there's plenty more where that came from. Why wouldn't you take their money? Like this has been the stupidest thing ever in business. And I know President Trump looks at it and says, "This is crazy." I mean, like, how do you? This guy wants to give you $1.5 billion and be partners with it, and you don't want it. I mean, this whole thing has been so poorly managed, and now it looks like they're finally coming. And listen to what Tiger said. Tiger said that the fans want all the best players playing together, so we're going to give them all the best players playing. And it's going to happen soon. Next thing, people are rumoring this whole thing. These people are rumoring that the LIV players are going to be back on the tour. They're going to be back on the PGA Tour by the Players Championship. They say, and then one of the corrupt golf media guys wrote that you could even count on them playing it at the Players Championship, which is crazy because the LIV has a tournament already scheduled in Singapore that same exact week. So I don't understand how that's going to happen. Are they going to cancel Singapore so a few guys that are still eligible can play at the Players Championship, or are they going to throw 3 or 4 guys that are the top players in LIV out there in the Players Championship and throw in some substitutors in the at the LIV, which they could do. That would be an easy solution. Take some guys at the PGA Tour guys that had an opportunity to sign for a bunch of money and didn't. Throw them into the Singapore tournament for LIV, and take DeChambeau and Cam Smith and Koepka and Dustin Johnson and whoever else you want to take over and put them over there on the Players Championship, and they can all sing "Kumbaya," and it'll all be back. It'll be back to to the good old days. And what will happen is the ratings will come up just a touch, not much. They won't come up much because people are only going to watch so much golf, and they're only going to watch so much golf without Tiger Woods out there. Now, Tiger says he's going to play. He wants everybody to play. He's going to play more this year, but we've been hearing that for how many years, and we'll see. We'll believe it when we see it, and we'll believe his game when we see it, regardless of what President Trump says. We'll believe Tiger's game when we see it, and it may be good. Who knows? It could be. Play that little cutout there, and you never know. I mean, things get crazier things have happened, but I hope that they all get back together. Here's what I really hope for, though. I'm not getting all the players back for 4, 5, 6 tournaments, or having them cross over and having some guys play LIV and some guys play the PGA Tour, and they can play both tournaments, and maybe they got some guys skip over there to the Tiger Golf Tour, Tiger Golf League, the indoor league, and the guys are just coming and going all over the place. You got a lot of golf, you got a lot of television, and I think it's all good, but the pie is only so good. I talked about this a few weeks ago. The pie is only so big. You could have 22 golf leagues, and you're still going to have a certain amount of pie. And the pie just keeps getting slivered up, and everybody's got a piece of the pie, and pretty soon they're all little bitty pieces, but the pie was only this big to begin with, and that's what it's going to be. And that's my thing. So I think what they need to do is reinvent, and I'm not so sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for them to tell me that the PGA Tour and Public Investment Fund are getting together. And I'm not sitting on the edge of my seat because they're telling me that the PGA Tour players are going to, come play some LIV, and they're going to let the LIV guys play some PGA Tour. I'm not really sitting on the edge of my feet for that. What I'm sitting on the edge of my seat for is when they tell me how they're going to reinvent this game a little bit. Make it a profitable venture for the investors, the SSG investors, and the Public Investment Fund investors, and the PGA Tour. How are they going to make it a profitable venture for all those guys, and what they're going to do? Now, the LIV had the big tournament down there in Australia, and that was not even close. Like, bar none, not even close. That tournament and the Phoenix Open were the 2 biggest and best tournaments of the year. Phoenix Waste Management Open and the LIV tournament down in Australia, Alderete or whatever it's called. Okay, the course down there. Those are the 2 best tournaments so far, and they both have the kind of the same vibe to it. And the vibe was it's a happening. It's a happening party event. And I have said this for years and years and years, that what you got in golf is you got 4 majors, and the rest of them need to figure out how they can be an event, a happening. Concerts, whatever, music playing on the course, just a happening. And the PGA Tour Phoenix Open knows how to do that, and the LIV tournament in Australia knows how to do that, and they need to get more of those. They need to have, like 25 of those a year. And if they can kind of get a decent field at all 20, they don't need 100 of them. They got too many tournaments. Have some smaller tournaments, let guys kind of find their way onto the tour, but you don't need to spend all this money like they're spending on all these tournaments. And when 25, 30 events max, you got the 4 majors, and that would be phenomenal. What if they could have 30 events and all of them were Phoenix Open or LIV Australia, that good, and you had the 4 majors? That would be phenomenal for golf. And don't make the season 12 months long. If you want to let guys play, smaller events throughout the year, fine. But the real event where the best players are playing, a normal season like every other sport has. And if you do that, people will want to watch golf because they'll miss golf. And right now, there's just so much golf. I was walking by the TV today over at the golf practice. There's TVs on. They're showing the tournament. I go, what tournament is that? And it was the, something open. And I look up at the leaderboard. I don't know one guy on it. I never heard of the course they're playing. I never heard of where they're playing. And it's just background TV. And it looks good because it's green and the guy's, swinging away and there it is. And that you know what, that just doesn't sell anymore. It's not going to sell. So I can't wait. I've been saying this for 2 years, but I think it's coming soon. But I want to hear about the merger. I want to hear about the investment. I want to hear about the PGA Tour and Public Investment Fund and LIV getting together. What I really want to hear is how they're going to reinvent the professional game. That's the news that we're all waiting for. And if they do that and make it better, golf is going to thrive. And the game of golf, I think, is thriving, but professional golf and TV golf and all that is going to. A lot of changes going on. I think they're all going to be positive, and I can't wait for it to happen. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed the podcast. Follow all the great programming on nofilter.net, and we will talk to you soon on the Hank Haney podcast.